Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Grade 8 Events. I'm your host, Delaney Hall. So happy to be back with you on this Juneteenth. Hope you've been having a good day. Of course, we know it is very muggy. It is very hot outside, and it sounds like it's only going to get hotter. So as I tell you about events for today and this weekend, just keep that in mind. You probably heard Jamal Williams during Good Morning Richmond and 8 News at 9 kind of break down some signs to look out for heat illness. You've heard our meteorologist talk about it for the past couple of days. So just always keep that in mind when you're heading out to all these Grade 8 events this weekend. The event that I spotlighted this week is Henrico County's Juneteenth Celebration 2025. It's happening this Saturday at Dory Park from 4 to 10. They are expecting tens of thousands of people. This is a very popular event that a lot of folks are excited about, but I want to bring in some photos from previous years. So this, of course, is to commemorate the 160th anniversary of Juneteenth. You're going to find 160 vendors, a kids zone, more than a dozen food vendors, live music, entertainment on 2 different stages, which is pretty incredible. And actually on their website, if you go on to the Henrico County government website and you find the link for this, you can find a full list of vendors, full list of acts, that kind of thing. But of course, they do emphasize the music. This year's theme is actually go-go music. So for a quick rundown, there's basically 2 stages. One is a community stage where they're going to have more local folks there. So DJ Amari, we have done reporter Allison Williams has done stories on DJ Amari, who's a very, very talented young DJ in the Richmond area. He'll be there. There's going to be jump rope teams, cheer and dance teams. On the other stage, you're going to start with the EU featuring Sugar Bear, Chuck Brown Band. Henrico County is going to say some few words, and the Art of Noise RVA featuring DJ Lonnie B. So still local as well, but kind of different takes depending on what stage you want to kind of plant in front of. And of course, the big fireworks finish. A lot of people look forward to this every year. This is going to happen at 9:45. You do need to be in Dory Park no later than 9:30. This is going to be very crowded. I was speaking to Julian Charity. It's kind of one of the main organizers of this. They're going to be directing people and trying to get people in as quickly as they can. But he really recommends getting there before that 9:30 mark if you're just there to see the fireworks, if you want to get a spot. But he also said you're probably be able to see them from far away. If you're not actually in Dory Park, you may be okay. But if you want to secure your spot, highly recommend getting there before the 9:30 mark. Speaking of Julian, I talked to him more the other day or earlier this week about really the meaning and why Henrico County wanted to put on this event. So let's take a listen.
Just unifies our entire county. No matter if you're black, brown, different shades of brown, everybody enjoys this event. And it's one of those community growth opportunities, and you get to see people that you have never seen before, people that live in the neighborhood next to you, just come out and you get to enjoy, you find out more about each other, and this idea of freedom connects us all.
The idea of freedom connects us all. I love that message. I was speaking about the vendor list. So I'm going to bring up my browser here. This is literally just on the Juneteenth Celebration 2025 website. It has the entire schedule of people who will be performing on the community stage and on the main stage, different kids zones activities, food vendors. You can see them all here. A lot of them you're going to recognize: Cooker Spot, Mimi's, Little Mike's Kitchen, and then the vendors. If you click on this, there's going to be a whole PDF file with all of the vendors if you really want to know what you're going to be shopping for. But you can also just wing it and go and have a good time and see all the great vendors that are happening there. All right, so that is Henrico County's Juneteenth Celebration 2025. I want to bring in my list. So, actually, you know what? I wasn't even done because there's actually 2 parts to Henrico Celebration. That part is happening on Saturday at Dory Park. On Friday, the county is actually hosting the first ever Juneteenth Jamboree with the community parade and football games at Rina High School. So essentially, a community parade will start at 5 p.m. at George F. Baker Elementary School and then go down Messer Road and end at Rina High School. At 6:30, teams from different area high schools are going to be squaring off in a 7-on-7, some football games, which is pretty cool. So if you want to know those high schools, I have here Varina, Highland Springs, Tucker, Glen Allen, Deep Run, and Henrico. So really from all across the area, which is pretty neat. That is the Juneteenth Jamboree. I can't believe I almost skipped over that. So Juneteenth Jamboree on Friday, which is tomorrow, and then that big celebration at Dory Park from 4 to 10 on Saturday. All right, now I'm going to bring in my list. So the Boots on the Ground Juneteenth event in Ashland on Saturday. This is hosted by the Hanover NAACP. Noon to 5 at Randolph-Macon College. Of course, Boots on the Ground is the theme. You all will be happy to know, well, maybe you are, but I actually learned this live on television a couple months ago. And Autumn and I still sing it every day. It's a fun one. This is free, family friendly. You're going to find live music, food vendors. Bring your own chairs to this. That was like in big, bold letters there. Bring your own chairs so you have a place to sit. Lots of different performances, including from Hattie Weatherless, Unity Gospel Band, Soul Unlimited. So this is all happening Saturday from noon to 5 at Randolph-Macon College. So those are kind of the weekend or some of the weekend Juneteenth events. Like there is a lot happening. We also ran some information about Juneteenth events happening today, and I just kind of jotted them down pretty quickly. The Jubilation in June Festival is actually now at Midtown Green tonight over on West Lee Street. That was a last-minute location change, so just be mindful if you're headed to that tonight. There's also a panel discussion at the Black History Museum and Cultural Center of Virginia about Dr. Carter G. Woodson. And there's, I believe, some new exhibits happening at the Branch Museum. That's all just happening tonight. So highly recommend checking out all the other events, Juneteenth events that are happening today and tomorrow. Again, there's so many that I could sit here and probably for 2 hours, but you guys don't need that. So those are the Juneteenth events that we kind of put together. Also on Saturday, you can head down to the Mattaponi Reservation in West Point for the 27th annual powwow. So this is on Saturday. The grounds open at 10. The grand entry, they're calling it, is at noon. If you've never been, this is all the way down in West Point. The exact address, if you need it, is 1314 Mattaponi Reservation Circle. I actually did a story a couple years ago on the Mattaponi Reservation. It's very beautiful right on the water there. Kids 5 and under are free. There is a $5 general admission if you're above that age. And this is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to learn about the Mattaponi culture through dancing, drumming, food options, all different kind of ways to learn about the culture there because they have a pretty big presence down there in the West Point area, which is pretty neat. But that is the powwow. So the next event I want to talk about is Play All Day VA tomorrow. So we know technically summer starts tomorrow. I think it's like 10:42 p.m. Don't quote me on that, but it's like late tomorrow. It also marks the longest day of the year where we'll see the most sunlight. So Play All Day VA is a statewide initiative to get people outside to enjoy the day. But I also say, like we've been saying all morning, be mindful of the heat that we're going to see. You've heard Tyler talk about it all morning. You heard Jackie talk about it yesterday, and you'll probably hear Matt Denardo talking about it later tonight. But essentially, each county, city is having a lineup of different events that you can do for Play All Day RVA. Again, this is one of those situations where if I sat here and listed every single event for every single county, we would be here until like midnight. So I just pulled up a few examples. So I just literally looked on the Henrico County government website and I found this graphic. Longest day of the year, make time to play. So you can see, for example, tomorrow at 6 a.m., there's sunrise fitness, then sunrise yoga, then painting in the park, mobile museum experience at Dory Park also. So I highly recommend you going to your local government page to find out what your specific area is doing. This is also on the Chesterfield County page. You can see it. Rockwood Nature Center is going to be open with extended hours tomorrow from 10 to 4. That's going to be free. They have things at Bensley Recreation Center, Beulah Rec Center, Stonebridge Rec Center. So highly recommend checking out where you live because it's going to be different depending on where you live, obviously. But that is Play All Day RVA. I guess with summer, I just have been thinking about this heat, but obviously it's a good opportunity to get out there to enjoy the longest day of the year, which is pretty cool. All right, so the last event I want to talk about is Culture Fest Fridays. This is happening tomorrow from 3:30 to 4:30 at the Children's Museum of Richmond, the Midlothian location. at Lake Harbor Drive. So essentially the museum has been doing these every month where they just focus on a new culture just to get kids interested and learning about new things and new people. So tomorrow you can immerse yourself in the Afro-Caribbean culture, which is pretty cool. And it is included with a $9 general admission. You don't need to register beforehand, but as long as you know the time, you're pretty much good to just kind of show up. But I would maybe get there a couple minutes early if you want to secure your spot. But that is at least the ones that I focused on. Like I said, this time of year is very busy, especially, of course, with today being Juneteenth and a lot of the celebrations happening this weekend. And, of course, that high heat. So a lot of things to keep in mind. We are doing these. Of course, I do this every week, but we also want to learn about your events and what you're doing out in the community. If you have an event you'd like us to learn about, please send us an email at news@wrec.com. We also do live interviews during 8 News at 9. You can send us an email at interview@wrec.com, and we'll see if your event is a good fit for our show. We'd love to learn more about it. But for now, I'll say thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.